Hey everybody, just getting set up. So we'll see if anybody hops on live. And if not, that's cool. It's good to just have the recording anyways. So today we're talking all about reconnecting to your body with love. That is the topic that we're focusing on. Let me just fix this. I feel like it's too hot. Okay. That should be good. I think. Okay. So let's get started, and we'll just see other people can jump on as they like. So before we get into this, if you want, I'm going to be taking you through an exercise today specifically on kind of getting in touch with your body. So I highly recommend you grab a journal and a pen. You can always, of course, do this in the replay as well, but having a journal with you right from the start will definitely be helpful. So I'll just give you guys a moment to do that, and I'll give you a bit of an intro. So if you don't know me, my name is Katie. I'm a holistic health and life coach, and my passion, my purpose is really to show you how to love your body. So I'm so passionate about this because this is my story. For years and years and years and years and years, I struggled with loving myself through most of my teens and most of my 20s. I hated my body and I felt intense guilt and shame, and I avoided looking in the mirror, and going clothes shopping was like the day from hell, and I get it. All right, I get it. And it took me many, many years, but over time, I worked through a lot of my challenges. I mean, I'm not like 100%. I don't think you're ever there, but I've kind of, I've worked through a lot of this stuff. And now it's my passion to help others along the same path, because I did this alone. I didn't have any help. I didn't have any guidance. I didn't even read like self-help books. I was literally like doing it all just for me. So my goal, my mission is to help others so that you don't have to walk the path alone. So that's what we're doing here in Body Love Tribe, and that's what we're doing here with this training. So when we're talking about reconnecting to your body with love, or just reconnecting to your body in general, this is such a challenge for so many people. Many of us have such a really deep-seated hatred, and if hatred is not the right word, then loathing, dislike, whatever your word is. Many of us have this really deep-seated, the dog's trying to come in, we'll just ignore him. Hopefully he'll go away. We have this really deep-seated negative feelings about ourselves inside. And it can be really confronting to think about them. And it sucks thinking about bad stuff. It sucks feeling these bad things. And when you feel them, I mean, most of us don't dislike our bodies for like a week and then we get out of it, right? I mean, it's normal to have ebbs and flows, of course, but I would say the vast majority of people that I speak to about this have been in this body hatred cycle for months, years, sometimes even decades. And when you're sitting in that negative space, to keep feeling it at such a high intensity for that long would be so exhausting that you just couldn't keep it up. So what do? We numb. Very, very, very often. This is super common. I see it all the time. We numb ourselves, right? I mean, if you think about sort of the stress response in people, the fight or flight, so they've now updated it. It's fight, flight, or freeze. So that's like when you're confronted with a stressful situation, generally people choose one of those things. So if we're talking about hating your body, you're either going to fight, you're going to flight, you're going to run, or you're going to freeze and do nothing. And the numbing is like the running away. The numbing is, I don't want to feel this anymore. I'm going to run away. The numbing is like the disconnecting from your body, right? It's the freezing. It's the kind of being stuck. So it really is a bit of a combination of both of those, but it's very normal, okay? But if we really are going to begin the process of loving our bodies, of accepting ourselves as we are, we need to get back in touch. Just like any relationship in life, right? Whether you look at your partnerships, like romantic relationships, friendships, relationships with other family members, whoever, They need communication, and they need open communication to thrive. So very similarly, your relationship with your body, you need to communicate with your body. If you want to be okay with each other, if you want to have a loving relationship with yourself, if you want to be able to look in the mirror and feel really awesome, you need to kind of talk to it. You need to open up a dialogue. And that's probably something that you don't want to do and that maybe you haven't done for a very long time. But we are going to start the process today. All right, we're going to take a few little baby steps today to start you down that path. So what I want to do today is lead you through, like I said, lead you through an exercise. This is a question sequence that I love to use with my one-on-one clients. I use it in the Look and Feel Great Naked program all the time. I love it. So what we've done, I've modified it a little bit because normally, of course, it's one-on-one and there's a dialogue and we kind of go back and forth. So I've modified it a little bit, but it's a question sequence that I'm going to lead you through. And this is why I want you to have your journal so that you can take a moment and answer this. If you're watching the replay, pause me now, run and grab your journal. If you're here with me, I will give you 2 seconds. And then we'll go through this. Okay. Cool. So this exercise, and I do have my notes because I don't have it memorized, so I'm not going to be looking at the camera while I'm asking the questions. So this exercise is called Transforming Judgment into Curiosity and Self-Love. And it really is just about getting curious about yourself, about that relationship with your body, about that connect or disconnect state, and beginning to kind of just break it down a little bit. All right, so this should take a few minutes, and then you'll have a little bit of homework at the end as well. So this may seem really weird, but it's super important to notice where we store judgment in our bodies. So the first question, what I really just want to ask you is, what is it that you say to yourself? What is that inner self-talk? Because we all have it. We all have that inner critic. We all have that voice. For myself, I can tell you for years, it was nobody's going to want you the way you are. It was you don't deserve love. It was your partner is settling for you. You should feel sorry for them. You should leave them first. That would be the nice thing to do. Put them out of their misery, so to speak, the misery of being with you. I had all of that, right? It was a huge lack of worthiness, huge lack of not deserving love. So that question, what is it that you say to yourself about your body image, about your self-worth? Just take a moment. That's a big question. So you may not be able to do that. You know, you might not be able to get in depth with it, but even just jot down a couple of little points. All right. And I really encourage you to come back, watch this after, come through it again, and really take your time and journal this out. Because these are some deep questions, right? Like I said, normally this is a one-on-one coaching thing. So we get a lot deeper into it. So I really just want to encourage you to do that. So once you've identified a couple of points of what you say to yourself, ask what feelings are attached to that. So what emotions go along with that statement, right? So for example, you are not worthy of love. Let's just use that because that's a fairly common one. You are not worthy of love might feel really shitty. Might make you feel sad, might make you angry, might make you frustrated. So we're looking for the specific emotion that is attached to that. All right, if you're jumping on with us a little bit late, grab a journal. I'm leading you guys through a question sequence, all right? So grab a journal, grab a pen, and you can jump in and join us. So the first question is, what do you say to yourself? What is your inner self-talk? What does your inner critic say about yourself, about your body image, about your self-worth? And then the second question is, what are the feelings that are attached to that statement? Okay? And then I want you to just, can there be more than one emotion? Absolutely, yeah. There's probably like 100 emotions attached. Yeah, there can be so many emotions attached. So you can journal everything that's coming up, or you can just kind of pick the top 2 or 3, whatever feels best for you. But yes, chances are you're going to have a lot. So the next one, I want you to just go ahead and take a moment, if you can, if you're in a position to do so, close your eyes just for a moment. If you can't close your eyes, that's cool. Don't want you to, be in danger or something if you're walking or something. But if you can, just take a moment, close your eyes, and scan your body. And get curious, if there was a place in your body where these emotions lived, where might that be? So this might be, and quite often another way of saying this, and I've asked this before, is what is the part of your body that you have the hardest time loving? So this might be, for me, most of my life, it was my belly. For many people, it's their hips or their bum, whatever, right? We all have that part that we have the hardest time loving. So if there was a place in your body where these negative emotions, where this judgment lives, where is it? And just take a moment. Like I said, if you can, just close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and really feel where that emotion is sitting inside your body. And we're just going to take a few breaths. And I know this might seem weird, but just play along. If that part of your body, where it's sitting, if that part of your body had a voice, what might that part say? Now again, I know this is probably different from something that you've done before, but if we're, again, let's just use my example of my tummy, my stomach. So if I'm listening to my stomach, what might my stomach say? It might say, why do you hate me? It might say, I don't want anything bad for you. Why do you want something bad for me? It might say, why don't you think I'm good enough? Right? It might say, it's not fair that you pick on me. It's not fair that you feel like this about me and nobody else. So just take a few deep breaths and ask that part, if it had a voice, what might it say? What does it want to express to you? And really just sit with that for a moment and ask that question. And you might come up with multiple statements. I always like to almost start a dialogue, get really curious. And you might have 1 or 2 or 3 statements come up with, how is it feeling? Remember, we're talking about reconnecting to your body. Your body has a voice. So we're starting to tune into that voice a little bit. And if we suppose that this judgment, this negative voice, if we suppose that this judgment has a positive intention for you in some way, that it actually wants something really good for you, what might that be? And what was the positive intention of it using judgment to get your attention? Again, this is a hard question, right? If this is too much for you and you're having trouble kind of like processing it, coming back through the replay and pausing and really digging deep into each of these might be helpful. Or you might have answers coming up right away, which is totally cool, either way. So what is the positive intention of the judgment? So, for example, again, if it's me and my stomach, and, the judgment being, you're not worthy, and, my stomach is ugly, and you're not worthy, and, you should change, and you're ugly, and nobody wants to see that, and all of those things that go along with it. The positive intention might be that really, I want to be happy. And there's some part of me, probably a part of me that's, unconscious. This is not a conscious thing, that thinks that I can only be happy if I lose weight, if my stomach looks different. And therefore, if I hate on my stomach, I will eventually change it. It's what we're taught. It's not necessarily true, but it is what we're taught. If I hate on it, I will eventually change it, and therefore I will be happy. So that judgment is actually trying to get me towards a state of happiness in a really twisted, weird way. So once we know that the judgment has a positive intention, then it can kind of teach us a little bit more about what we really want, right? It can kind of help us dig in a bit. So usually there is some unmet need or desire, and it's been ignored, right? Like there's something in us that really wants some attention, it wants some love. And when we ignore it, when we don't tune into it for too long, it gets our attention in ways that is not always the nicest. So again, we want to just check back in with our bodies. Again, if you're here with me, just close your eyes for a moment. If you're on the replay, close your eyes. You can pause me as well if you need more time. Take a few deep breaths and notice how it feels now compared to how it felt before. If there's a difference, there might be, there might not be. But what we really want to notice is now that that part of your body has had a moment to express itself, now that we have tuned in and asked it a question and basically asked for its input and almost like invited it to the table, invited it into a conversation, see if there's been any shift. And it might be the tiniest little like millimeter shift, but there might be a tiny, tiny shift in there. There might be a huge shift. There might not be a perceptible shift yet. All of those are okay. All right. But we really just want to see if it feels different. Now that that part of your body has had a chance to express itself, is there any difference? And so I want to just take this now and switch it a little bit. All right. So we're just going to add an extra layer onto this. So the first part is the hard part. I do recognize that, in part because it's different than how we normally talk to our bodies. It's a bit of a challenging thing to do in our minds. So this is a little bit easier, the second part. So instead of loathing our bodies or being mad at our bodies for looking a certain way or being a certain way or what have you, I really want to invite you into transforming that into a new perspective. Change your thinking a little bit. So this exercise that we're going to go into now has 4 parts. Anger, fear, request, and love. Okay, anger, fear, request, and love. So I'm going to cue you with a sentence starter, and I want you to write those words down and then finish the sentence. So this will make sense once we get into it, don't worry. So the first one is anger. And we start with anger because behind pretty much all judgment is usually a feeling of anger. And the reason for that is that there's usually something we could be doing, we're capable of doing, and that we're not doing, right? So there is like that anger, and quite often with anger there's frustration. So starting with anger, complete the following sentence as if your inner critic were talking to yourself out loud. So this is your inner critic's voice. So this is your inner critic's voice speaking, okay? Oh, no worries, Lisa. Come back on and jump on the replay, okay? The rest of this is good. It'll really help finish it all off. Okay, so the first sentence that we're going to get into, anger. The sentence is, I'm angry at you for. I want you to take a moment and write that down. I'm angry at you for. And then finish that sentence. Again, remember, this is your inner critic speaking to you. I'm angry at you for. It might be for ignoring me. It might be for invalidating my opinion. It might be for hating me. It might be for anything, okay? Again, this might be one thing, or you might stretch it into a lot of things. So The next one is fear. And the sentence for fear is, if you don't change, I'm afraid you will. Again, this is your inner critic speaking to you, right? If you don't change, I'm afraid you will. There's always fear. There's always some deep-seated fear in there. And the third one is request. Some action, no matter how small, that moves toward change. So, request. I recognize that you really want to live the best life ever, your best life ever. My request is that you let go of blank so that I can blank. Okay, I'll say that again. That was a long one. I recognize that you really want to live the best life ever. My request is that you let go of blank so that I can blank. And then the fourth one is love. Now, of course, this is the one that we're working towards. Probably the hardest, but it is the one we're working towards. And the sentence for love is simply, I love you. You deserve blank. So I love you. You deserve blank. So I want to just commend you if you've worked through this whole exercise with me, if you've been game. Thank you. I thank you, and I know for a fact your body thanks you. You should give yourself a pat on the back. So I'm really curious, based on all of this, I want you to pick one action that you are willing to take moving forward from what we've worked through. This can be big or small. It can be anything. If you're game, you can share it. If you don't want to, that's totally cool. I know this is a very private thing. But is there something that came up for you that you want to work through? So this might be, it might even be working through this again, going through and taking your time and going slowly. It might be a journaling prompt. It might be an action step that you want to take in life. So which action are you willing to take moving forward? What are you committing to? And I ask that you share this, like I said, either down below, or send it to me in Messenger. And I ask this because so much of coaching is so amazing, and I really truly believe that. I have many coaches of my own. Coaching is so amazing because there's a few things that we don't have in normal life, and one of those things is accountability. We all need to be kept accountable. Okay, I don't care who you are. We need to be kept accountable. If you say you're going to do something, you need somebody to kind of like check up on you. Like, hey, did you do it? Did you do the thing you said you were going to do? Because if we don't have accountability, if we don't have anybody to answer to, it is human nature. The vast majority of us will kind of sort of half-ass do it and then drop it. Because like speaking from experience, that's totally me. I know that I need accountability, and I've never yet met a single person who didn't need it, who didn't benefit from it. Okay, so I want you to come up with an action step and either comment below or send it to me in just on Messenger in a message. Tell me what you're doing. And then I want to give you a bonus, and this might actually be your action step, okay? So the bonus that I'm including, and I'm going to drop it in the comments below. I might be able to do it on my laptop as I'm talking. We'll see. The bonus is a breathwork sequence that I've pre-recorded, and I'm going to send you guys the link. Excuse me. So this breathwork sequence is something that I created for my one-on-one clients. When we go through this, like I said, the exercise we just did, that was like a modified version. You can't do the entire thing when you're not in conversation with somebody, but we did most of it. And this breathwork sequence is something that I created specifically as a follow-up to this sequence. Okay, so this breath work, it's 15 minutes in total. It's a YouTube video. Okay, so you can do this when it feels right for you. And I really want to encourage you to try it. So 15 minutes, ideally you want to be in a private space where nobody can see you and nobody can hear you. So, and you're going to be lying down. So on your bed, on your couch, on a yoga mat, on the floor. It doesn't really matter where you are, but you want to be able to be lying down, get comfortable. And there's going to be some cues where I ask you to make noise during the breath work. Again, this is about connecting to your body, and voice is one way that we can do that. So if you have some time alone at home, that would be great. You could, kick everybody else out, make them go for a walk or something, send them all to the mall, go shopping. But I really want to encourage you, do this breathwork sequence. So it's 15 minutes, start to finish. Let me see if I can do this. Yes, I totally can do this. Okay, so your breathwork sequence. There you go. Your breathwork sequence is right there in the comments. So I want to invite you, jump on over there, check it out, 15 minutes. I love doing this. I've done it myself, even though it's my voice. I've totally done it myself and worked through it myself. And I want to challenge you to complete this within the next 24 to 48 hours. Okay, so we've done this work today in the call. You've worked through some of these questions. You're very welcome. We've worked through some of these questions. Some of this is deep stuff. Some of this is maybe a bit more obvious to you. But this breath work is like step 2. It's the next step. And it really gets you like feeling in your body, feeling in your skin. Because like I said, we want to open up communication between you and your body. We don't want to numb anymore. We don't want to run away from these negative emotions anymore. We don't want to check out. We want to check in. And this breath work is step 2 in actually physically checking in. Okay, it's really, really, really good. So your homework, complete the breath work in the next 24, 48 hours or so. And tell me below, excuse me, got something stuck in my throat. Tell me below what your biggest takeaway is from this breath work, or from this whole training. And it could be from the training or from the breath work. But I really want to know. I really, really, really want to know. And again, remember, accountability. When you say you're going to do something, if you tell somebody else, your chances of doing it go up by about 100%. So comment below or send me a message. Tell me what you are assigning yourself as homework. What's your biggest takeaway from this? I hope this has been helpful for you guys. I hope that you've learned something new about yourself, about your relationship with yourself, about your relationship with your body. This is not a quick fix. This is not a magic pill. This is a journey. And connecting with your body is a very important step on that journey. So thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Questions below, comments below. Tell me what your biggest takeaway is. Tell me what your homework is that you've given yourself. And I'll be seeing you guys soon.